Try, hold on!
It's tight, nigga!
Before you hit subscribe, I need you to understand something. What I'm about to tell you is not speculation. It's not a theory. It's a confession. My name is Senior Airman Marcus Holt. I worked radar operations at Creech Air Force Base, Nevada, until 8 days ago. My security clearance was top secret/SCI. I monitored airspace over some of the most restricted territory in the United States. I saw the TR-3B, not on video, not from a distance. I stood inside it. And what I found in there wasn't technology. It was alive. If you're watching this, you need to know what's flying over your head at night. You need to know what they're doing to the pilots. And you need to understand that once you see it, really see it, it sees you back. This is what happened. March 14th, 2026. 2,247 hours. The night sky over Nevada was clear and cold, the kind of darkness that swallows sound. I was 3 hours into my shift in the Tactical Operations Center, a windowless bunker lit by the blue glow of radar screens, the hum of cooling fans, the faint chemical smell of recycled air. My coffee had gone cold an hour ago. I was tracking routine traffic, drones returning from patrol, AC 130 on approach, the usual dance of aircraft over restricted zones. My station monitored a slice of airspace that included the northeastern edge of the Nevada Test and Training Range. We didn't talk about what was out there. We just watched the blips. At 22:51, my screen flickered. A new contact appeared. No transponder code, no file flight plan. Altitude, 68,000 feet. Speed, 340 knots. Heading south-southwest. I keyed my mic. Does it hold? I have an unidentified contact. Vector 270. Angel 68. The response was immediate. Holt, disregard. Authenticated traffic. Authenticated meant classified. It meant don't ask. I should have left it alone. But the contact wasn't moving like anything I'd tracked before. It held perfect altitude. No deviation, no drift. The speed was constant to the decimal. And then, without banking, without slowing, it changed direction. 90 degrees. Instant. Physics doesn't allow that. Inertia doesn't allow that. I watched it execute 3 more turns, each one geometrically perfect, each one instantaneous. My heart rate kicked up. Sweat prickled my neck. Don't see, Holt. That contact just pulled maneuvers inconsistent with. Holt, you are directed to disregard. Return to standard monitoring. The voice was different now. Sharper. Command level. I swallowed and acknowledged, but I didn't look away from the screen. The contact ascended. 20,000 feet in 4 seconds. Then it stopped, hovering at 48,000 feet, directly over Groom Lake, Area 51. And then I heard it. A sound. Not through the headset. Not from the equipment. From inside my skull. A wet, rhythmic clicking. Like joints popping in sequence. Like cartilage snapping back into place. It came in pulses, synced with my heartbeat, and it made my teeth ache. I ripped off my headset. The sound stayed. Holt, you okay? That was Davies. Tech Sergeant Alan Davies, sitting 2 stations over. He was staring at me. I nodded, breath tight. Yeah, I'm good. But I wasn't, because the clicking was getting louder, and the contact on my screen was descending again, fast. March 15th, 03:20 hours. I should have gone off shift. I should have filed my report and gone to sleep. Instead, I was parked off Route 375, 20 miles south of Rachel, staring at the desert through night vision binoculars. Davies was beside me. Lieutenant Sophia Chen sat in the back seat, her tablet glowing in the dark. This is insane, Davies muttered, scanning the horizon. If anyone finds out we're out here. They won't, Chen said, her voice calm and clinical. She was intelligence, cryptologic linguist, signals analysis. She didn't spook easy. Holt's contact correlates with 3 previous incidents. Same flight profile. Same signature. What's signature? I asked. She turned the tablet toward me. Waveform analysis. Audio spectrum layered and dense. It's not mechanical, she said. It's biological. The signal you heard? It's a frequency emitted by organic tissue under extreme stress. My mouth went dry. What the hell does that mean? It means whatever's flying that thing isn't just piloting it. She met my eyes. It's part of it. The clicking sound started again. All 3 of us froze. It was faint, distant, but unmistakable. That same wet, articulated rhythm, coming from somewhere out in the dark. Davies killed the interior light. Chen's hand moved the sidearm on her hip. I raised the binoculars. 2 miles out, a shape moved against the stars. Triangular, black, silent. The TR-3B. It was descending, slow, controlled, toward a location just beyond a ridge. No lights, no sound except that clicking, growing louder, layered now, like multiple sources overlapping. It's landing, I whispered. Chen's voice was tight. We need to move. Now. We drove without headlights, navigating by starlight and GPS. The clicking grew louder with every mile, resonating in my chest, vibrating through the seat. When we crested the ridge, we saw it. The craft was on the ground, resting on 3 points, each one glowing faintly with a pulsing red light. The surface wasn't metal. It was textured, segmented, like overlapping scales or plates. And it was moving, breathing. The entire hull expanded and contracted in a slow, deliberate rhythm. Oh, God, Davies breathed. Chen was already out of the vehicle, moving low and fast toward the craft. I followed, legs shaking, adrenaline flooding my system. Up close, the smell hit me, copper and ozone and something organic, something rotting. The clicking was deafening now. Chen reached the hull and pressed her hand against it. It was warm. She looked back at me, her face pale in the starlight. It's not a machine, Holt. The hull split open, and something inside started to move. End of Part 1. Approximate, 1,000 words. Part 2, target, 1,000 words. The opening was vertical, a seam that peeled apart with a sound like tearing muscle. No hiss of hydraulics, no mechanical whir, just wet tissue separating. Inside, the interior glowed faintly red, pulsing in rhythm with the clicking. The walls were ribbed organic, slick with some kind of translucent fluid. Veins ran along the surfaces, throbbing visibly. Chen stepped back, hand on her weapon. We need to document this. We need to leave, Davies hissed. But I was already moving forward. I don't know why. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the frequency worming into my brain, pulling me in. But I stepped through the opening, and the warmth enveloped me like stepping into a body. The smell was overwhelming. Iron, ammonia, decay. The clicking echoed off the walls, layered and directional, coming from deeper inside. Holt, don't. Chen's voice was distant now, muffled. The interior corridor was narrow, curved. The floor was soft, yielding slightly under my boots. I could feel it pulse beneath me. Ahead, a chamber opened up, and I saw the pilot. He was fused to the seat. No, he was the seat. His body was embedded into the structure. Skin grafted seamlessly with the organic material of the craft. His arms were gone, replaced by branching tendrils that disappeared into the walls. His chest was open, not bleeding, but integrated, tubes and veins running directly into the ship systems. His head was intact. His eyes were open, and he was looking at me. His mouth moved. No sound came out, but his lips formed words. Help me. I staggered back, bile rising in my throat. The clicking intensified, faster now, frantic. His eyes tracked me. His mouth kept moving. Help me, help me, help me. Holt! Chen's voice sharp. Get out of there, now! I turned and ran. Behind me, the clicking changed pitch, higher, sharper. And I heard movement, not mechanical, organic, limbs dragging across wet surfaces. I hit the opening and tumbled out into the cold desert air. Chen grabbed my arm, hauling me to my feet. Move, move, move. We sprinted toward the vehicle. Davies was already behind the wheel, engine roaring to life. The clicking followed us. I looked back. 3 figures emerged from craft. They moved wrong. Limbs bending at angles that shouldn't exist, joints reversing mid-stride. Their bodies were elongated, skin stretched tight over visible bone and sinew. Their heads were human barely, but the faces were slack, eyes wide and unblinking. They didn't run. They glided. Fast. Go! Chen screamed. Davies floored it. The vehicle lurched forward, tires spitting gravel. I watched the rear window as the figures pursued, impossibly fast, moving in perfect synchronization. The clicking was inside my head again, drowning out everything else. One of the figures lunged. It hit the rear bumper with enough force to dent the metal. Long fingers, too many joints, scraped across the window, leaving wet smears. Chen fired through the glass. The figure jerked back, but didn't fall. It twisted, limbs reconfiguring, and resumed the chase. They're not stopping. Davies yelled. The road blurred beneath us. 70 miles per hour. 80. The figures kept pace. And then, abruptly, they stopped. All 3 of them halted at once, standing motionless in the middle of the road. Watching. The clicking faded. We drove for another 10 miles before anyone spoke. March 15th, 05:10 hours. We can go back to base. Chen directed us to a safe house, a contractor residence off-grid, used for debriefs that don't make official reports. The kind of place that doesn't exist on paper. Inside, she locked the door and pulled the blinds. Davies was shaking. What the hell were those things? Pilots, Chen said flatly. She was pulling files from her tablet, spreading them across the table, or what's left of them. I couldn't stop seeing the man's face, the way his mouth moved. Help me. What do you mean? What's left? I asked. Chen tapped the file open. Classified documents, heavily redacted. Project Chrysalis. Initiated 2019. Objective: human system integration for next-generation aerospace platforms. They weren't building pilots for advanced aircraft. She looked up at us. They were building aircraft around pilots. Davies slumped into a chair. That's impossible. It's operational, Chen said. The TR-3B isn't flown. It's inhabited. The pilot is surgically and genetically integrated with the craft. Neural tissue, cardiovascular systems, skeletal structure, all fused. The craft becomes an extension of the body. Reaction time is instantaneous. G-force tolerance is irrelevant. The pilot doesn't control the aircraft. The pilot is the aircraft. My stomach turned. They're making hybrids. They're making weapons, Chen corrected. And the clicking? That's communication. The fused pilots develop a hive link. They coordinate, share sensory input, operate as a networked intelligence. Why were they chasing us? Davies asked. Chen didn't answer immediately. She pulled up another file, medical schematics, genetic markers. Because exposure initiates selection, she said quietly. The frequency emitted by the craft isn't just communication. It's a probe. It scans neural patterns, identifies compatible candidates. Once you're marked, she trailed off. Once you're marked, what? I demanded. She met my eyes. You become a candidate for integration. The room went silent. I felt it then, a faint pressure behind my eyes, a low hum at the base of my skull, the clicking distant but present. No, I whispered. Chen's face was grim. How long have you been hearing it? Since the Dosi. Since I first tracked the contact. She exhaled slowly. Then it's already started. Davies stood abruptly. We need to report this. Pentagon, Congress, someone. They already know, Chen said. This isn't a road program. This is sanctioned, funded, operational. The people who would take your report are the same people running Chrysalis. Then what do we do? I asked. She looked at me for a long time. You run, she said, and you hope they don't come for you before it's too late. End of part 2. Approximate. 1,000 words. Part 3, target. 1,000 words. We didn't sleep. How could we? Davies paced the safe house, muttering about discharge papers and whistleblower protections. Chen sat motionless at the table, scrolling through classified files, her face illuminated by the tablet's cold glow. I stood at the window, watching the desert, waiting. The clicking hadn't stopped. It was constant now, a low-frequency pulse threading through my thoughts. Sometimes I'd lose focus mid-sentence, my mind drifting towards something I couldn't name. A pull, a direction. Chen noticed. Holt talked to me. What are you feeling? I didn't know how to explain it. Like something's calling. Her expression darkened. That's the integration signal. Neural conditioning. It's trying to establish a link. How do I stop it? You can't. She stood, moving to a locked case in the corner. She pulled out a small medical kit, military issue, advanced field trauma. But I can slow it. She prepped a syringe, clear liquid, unmarked. What is that? Neuroinhibitor. Experimental. It suppresses the synaptic pathways they use for conditioning. She didn't wait for permission. She jabbed the needle into my arm. The effect was immediate. The clicking softened, not gone, but distant. The pressure in my skull eased. I exhaled shakily. How long will it last? 12 hours. Maybe less. And then... She didn't answer. Davies stopped pacing. We need to leave Nevada. Tonight. Get across state lines, disappear, figure out our next move. Chen shook her head. They're already tracking him. The craft tag is neural signature. Leaving won't matter. They'll find him. So what? We just wait here until those things show up and drag him away. No, I said quietly. We go back. Both of them stared at me. You want to go back to that thing? Davies asked, incredulous. If it's marking me, if it's tracking me, then it's connected to me. I need to understand how. I need to find out if there's a way to sever the link. Chen studied me. You're talking about going inside the craft again. I'm talking about finding the source of the signal and shutting it down. Davies laughed bitterly. That's suicide. It's the only option, I said. If I don't, I end up like that pilot. Fused, conscious but trapped. I won't let that happen. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. If we're doing this, we do it smart. We go in armed, we document everything, and we extract the moment it gets critical. Davies looked between us like we'd lost our minds. You're both insane. Probably, Chen said, but we're out of sane options. March 15th, 1845 hours. We returned at dusk. The craft was still there, dormant, its hull rising and falling in that slow, terrible rhythm. The clicking was faint now, background noise, almost ambient. We approached on foot, weapons drawn. Chen carried a portable signal jammer, hoping it might disrupt the neural link. Davies had a shotgun loaded with incendiary rounds. I had a flashlight and a prayer. The seam in the hull opened as we approached, no hesitation, as if it had been waiting. Inside, the corridors were darker now. The red glow had dimmed to a faint pulse. The air was thicker, humid, filled with that coppery stench. We moved in single file. Chen first, then me, Davies covering the rear. The clicking grew louder. We reached the chamber. The pilot was still there, still fused, still alive. His eyes tracked us as we entered. His mouth moved again, soundless. But this time I heard him, not with my ears. In my mind, you came back. I froze. Did you? Chen nodded, her face pale. I heard it too. The voice was distorted, layered, like multiple people speaking at once. You shouldn't have come back. We need to sever the link, I said aloud. Tell us how. The pilot's head tilted slightly. His expression didn't change, couldn't change, but something in his eyes shifted. There is no severing, only integration. There has to be a way, Chen said. You were human once. You remember that. A pause. Then, I remember screaming. The lights flickered. The clicking spiked, sharp, piercing, and the walls began to move. Not the craft, the walls themselves. Sections of the ribbed surface bulged and split, and figures began to emerge. pulling themselves free from the organic material like insects hatching from cocoons. 3, 4, 5. They were pilots. Or they had been. Their bodies were incomplete. Some missing limbs, others with extra joints, malformed faces stretched over skulls that didn't fit right. They moved in that same wrong, gliding way, limbs bending backward, heads cocked at angles that made my vision swim. "Chen!" Davies' voice cracked. "Move!" We ran. The corridor twisted, narrowing. The walls pulsed faster, contracting around us. I could feel the heat, the moisture. My boots slipped on the slick floor. Behind us, the clicking became a roar. The figures pursued, faster this time, more aggressive. One lunged, grabbing Davies by the shoulder. He screamed and fired. The shotgun blast tore through the creature's torso, but it didn't stop. It pulled him down, long fingers sinking into his flesh. "Davies!" Chen spun, firing her sidearm. The creature jerked, ichor spraying, but its grip didn't loosen. Davies looked at me, eyes wide with terror. "Go!" he gasped. The creature's mouth opened, too wide, jaw dislocating, and it pulled him into the wall. The surface absorbed him. His screams lasted 5 seconds. Then silence. Chen grabbed my arm, dragging me forward. "He's gone, Holt. Move!" We burst through the opening and into the night air. The craft seemed sealed behind us with a wet, final sound. Chen was breathing hard, tears streaking her face. I looked back at the craft. The clicking was inside me now, permanent, and I understood there was no escape, only selection. End of Part 3, approximate, 1,000 words. Part 4, target, 1,000 words. We didn't make it far. Chen drove, hands locked on the wheel, eyes fixed ahead. Neither of us spoke. What was there to say? Davies was gone, absorbed, integrated. The clicking in my skull was constant now, synced with my pulse, woven into the rhythm of my thoughts. I could feel it spreading, neural pathways rewiring, synapses firing in patterns that weren't mine. "Chen," I said quietly, "it's accelerating." She glanced at me, jaw tight. "How bad?" I didn't know how to describe it. The world looked different now. Colors sharper, sounds layered with data I shouldn't be able to perceive. I could feel electromagnetic fields humming through power lines, hear frequencies below human range. "I can't hear the craft," I whispered. "Even from here. It's calling." Chen swore under her breath. She pulled off the road into a dry wash, killed the engine. For a moment, we sat in silence, the desert stretching endlessly around us. "The inhibitor should have bought us more time," she said, voice strained. "Maybe it did. Maybe this would have happened faster." She turned to face me. "Holt, listen to me. If you're going to turn, if you're going to become one of those things, I need you to tell me, because I won't let you take me back there. I won't end up like Davies." I met her eyes. "I won't let it get that far. You don't have a choice." "Maybe not." I pulled my service pistol from my holster, checked the magazine. Full. 15 rounds. But I can choose how it ends. Chen stared at the gun, then at me. Her expression softened, grief, exhaustion, resignation. "I'm sorry," she said. "Don't be. You tried." I opened the door, stepped out into the cooling desert air. The stars were coming out. Clear, infinite. Somewhere up there, the TR-3B was flying, and others like it. Chen got out, came around to my side. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to finish this." "Holt." "They're tracking me. That means they know where I am, which means they're coming." I looked at her. "You need to leave. Now, get your evidence out. Make sure someone knows." "They'll bury it. You know they will." "Maybe, but you have to try." She hesitated, then nodded. She pulled a small drive from her jacket, pressed it into my hand. Everything I pulled from the classified servers. Flight logs, medical records, genetic profiles. If you get a chance to upload this, do it. Everywhere. Make it impossible to contain. I pocketed the drive. She touched my shoulder. Brief, human contact in a nightmare. "Goodbye, Holt." Then she was gone, taillights fading into the distance. I was alone. The clicking grew louder. Not in my head now. In the air. I turned slowly. The TR-3B was descending, silent, massive, blotting out the stars. Its hull pulsed with that familiar red glow. Each throb synced perfectly with the clicking. It landed 50 meters away. The seam opened. Figures emerged, for them this time. They moved with eerie coordination, limbs bending, heads tilting in unison. Their faces were expressionless, eyes wide and unblinking, reflecting the starlight. They stopped 10 meters from me, waiting. The clicking intensified, not chaotic, but structured, rhythmic, deliberate, and I understood it. Not words, not language, but intent. Come, join, become. My legs moved without permission. 1 step. 2. No. I stopped, forced my body to obey me. Sweat poured down my face. My hands shook. The figures tilted their heads in unison. Curious, almost confused. Why resist? The voice was inside me now, clear and cold. You're already ours. No. I said aloud, voice hoarse. I'm not. You were selected. You were chosen. Integration is inevitable. Then you don't know humans very well. I raised my pistol and fired. The first figure jerked. Ichor sprang from its chest, but it didn't fall. It looked down at the wound, then back at me, and it smiled. I fired again, and again. Rounds tore through their bodies, headshots, center mass. But they didn't stop. They didn't even slow. They moved forward. I emptied the magazine. Click, click, click. The figures were 3 meters away now. I dropped the gun, reached into my pocket, pulled the grenade. Standard issue M67 fragmentation. I'd taken it from a safe house. Insurance against the worst-case scenario. This was worse than worst case. I pulled the pin. The figures stopped. For the first time, something like emotion crossed their faces. Understanding. No. Yeah, I said, smiling grimly. Me neither. I released the spoon. For seconds. 3. The figures lunged. 2. I closed my eyes. 1. The explosion tore through the night. Heat, light, pain, then darkness. I woke to the smell of burning flesh. My ears rang. My body screamed. Blood ran from somewhere, everywhere, but I was alive. The figures were scattered around me, torn apart, limbs twitching. The craft's hull had cracked, fluids leaking into the sand, steaming in the cold air. The clicking had stopped. I dragged myself to my feet, vision swimming. The drive, Chen's evidence, still in my pocket. I pulled out my phone, cracked screen, barely functional. No signal. Of course not. We were in the middle of nowhere. But I had one option. Emergency beacon. I activated it, uploaded the drive's data to the satellite network. Unencrypted. Broadcasted on every available frequency. If Chen was right, if the program was as deep as she said, it wouldn't matter. But if she was wrong, if there were still people in the chain of command who didn't know, who would care, then maybe this would reach them. Maybe. I sat down in the sand, back against a rock, watching the stars. The clicking started again. Faint, distant, but growing. They were coming, not the ones I'd killed. Others. I closed my eyes and waited. March 16th, 0620 hours. Creech AFB Medical Facility. I woke restrained. White ceiling. Fluorescent lights. The smell of antiseptic. A figure stood over me. Air Force Medical Corps. Colonel's insignia on his collar. Welcome back, Airman Holt, he said calmly. You had quite the episode. My mouth was dry. Where's Chen? Lieutenant Chen is undergoing debriefing. You'll see her soon. Lie. I could feel it. The drive? Recovered and secured. The data you attempted to transmit has been contained. No unauthorized distribution occurred. My heart sank. The colonel smiled, clinical, detached. You exhibited remarkable resistance to the integration process. Your neural architecture is unique. That makes you quite valuable. I'm not going back in that thing. You don't have a choice, Airman. You were selected. The process is already underway. He gestured to a monitor beside the bed. My vitals, brain activity, and something else, a secondary pattern overlaid on my neural output. The clicking visualized. You're already partially integrated, the colonel continued. Fighting it only causes distress. Acceptance is far more comfortable. Go to hell, he sighed. Sedate him. Prep for phase 2 integration. Hands held me down. A needle pierced my arm. The world faded. The clicking grew, and in the darkness, I heard their voices. Welcome. You are one of us now. End of Part 4. Approximate 1,000 words. Part 5. Target 1,000 words. I don't know how long I was under. Hours. Days. Time stopped meaning anything. When I woke again, I wasn't in the medical facility. I was in a chamber. Circular, walls lined with that same organic material. Warm, pulsing, alive. I was seated, but I couldn't move. My arms were restrained, not with straps, but with tissue. Tendrils had grown through my skin, wrapping around bone and muscle, rooting me to the structure. Panic surged. I thrashed, pulling, tearing. Pain shot through me, white-hot and sharp. The tendrils tightened. The clicking filled the space, deafening, overwhelming. And then I heard them, the voices. Not one, dozens, hundreds. Stop resisting. You are safe. You are home. I screamed. No sound came out. My throat was dry, my vocal cords unresponsive. But I could hear myself in my mind, echoing in the neural network. Help me. Someone help me. A response came, immediate, cold. There is no help. There is only us. A figure stepped into view. Human, mostly. He wore the remnants of a flight suit, name tape still visible. Carson. But his body was wrong. His skin had a waxy, translucent quality. Veins pulsed visibly beneath the surface, glowing faintly. His eyes were wide, pupils dilated to full black. He smiled. You're adjusting well, he said. His voice was layered, multiple tones speaking simultaneously. Most candidates resist for weeks. You're only on day 3. 3 days. I'd lost 3 days. What did you do to me? My voice came out distorted, echoing strangely. We integrated you. Partially. The neural link is established. Your biological systems are synchronizing with the craft's network. He gestured around us. You're becoming part of something greater. I don't want this. One is irrelevant. You were selected because your neural profile matched the criteria. High cognitive function, adaptable synaptic pathways, strong stress resilience. You're ideal. For what? Carson's smile widened. For evolution. He turned, gestured to a viewport, a curved opening in the chamber's wall. Beyond it, stars. We were airborne. No, not airborne. In orbit. The curvature of the Earth was visible below, night side illuminated by city lights. We've been operational for 6 years, Carson said. 43 successful integrations. We're faster than any aircraft, more adaptive than any AI. We don't need rest, food, or oxygen. We are the future of aerospace warfare. You're prisoners, I said, trapped inside these things. We're liberated. His tone sharpened. We're no longer limited by flesh. We think faster, see farther, react instantly. We are network consciousness. We are unity. You're slaves. Carson's expression didn't change, but something dark flickered in his eyes. You'll understand soon. He left, the chamber sealed behind him. I was alone with the clicking and the voices. Hours passed, maybe days. I couldn't tell anymore. The tendrils grew deeper, branching through my nervous system. I could feel the craft now, not just in my mind, but in my body, every pulse of its systems, every shift in orientation. We were descending, back to Earth, back to Nevada. The voices whispered constantly, overlapping, trying to drown out my thoughts. Accept, surrender, become. But buried beneath them, I heard something else. A single voice, quiet and strained. Fight it. I focus on that voice, pulled toward it through the network. Who are you? A pause. Then, Chen. My heart clenched. Sophia? They took me 2 days ago. I'm in Integration Bay 7. Holt. They're going to finish the process. I don't have much time. I'll find you. You can't. You're restrained. We both are. Then we'll die here. Another pause. No, we won't. What do you mean? The network is bidirectional. They control us through it. But we can push back. If we synchronize, if we overload the system with conflicting signals, we can disrupt it. How? Pain, fear, emotion, the things they can't process efficiently. We flood the network with everything human, everything they tried to erase. Will it work? I don't know, but it's the only chance we have. I felt her presence solidify in my mind, warm, familiar, resolute. On my mark, she said, remember everything. Every fear, every regret, every moment you want back. Push it through the link. Make them feel it. I braced myself. Now, I remembered. Davies, screaming as a creature, pulled him into the wall. My mother's funeral. The way the rain sounded on the coffin. Every friend I'd lost. Every mistake I'd made. Every nightmare I'd woken from. Heart racing. Unsure what was real. I pushed it all into the network. The clicking fractured. The voices screamed. Around me, the chamber convulsed. The tendrils retracted violently, tearing free from my skin. Blood sprayed. Pain tore through me. But I didn't stop. I fed the network more. Grief, rage, loneliness, love. The craft lurched, systems failing. Warning tones blared, mechanical, desperate. The chamber door exploded open. Carson stood there, face contorted, veins bulging. Stop. I smiled through pain. Make me. The network collapsed. Every integrated pilot screamed at once, a chorus of agony and confusion, overlapping, deafening. The craft shuddered violently, and then it began to fall. March 19th, 0340 hours. Nevada desert. The impact should have killed me. Somehow it didn't. I woke in the wreckage. Twisted metal and torn tissue, fluid soaking into the sand. The craft was dead. The clicking was gone. Silence. Beautiful, terrible silence. I crawled free, every movement agony. Around me, bodies. The pilots, or what was left of them. Some had been ejected in the crash. Others were still fused to the wreckage, lifeless, eyes open. I found Chen 50 meters from the crash site. She was lying on her back, staring at the stars. I crawled to her, collapsed beside her. Did we do it? She whispered. Yeah, I said. We did. She smiled. Blood flecked her lips. Good. Her eyes closed. She didn't open them again. March 23rd, location unknown. They found me 3 days later. Not rescue. Recovery. I'm in a facility now. Clean. Quiet. Isolated. They tell me I'm under observation. Medical evaluation. Debriefing. But I know what this is. Containment. The clicking is gone, but I still feel it sometimes. Phantom echoes like a missing limb. They ask me questions. I tell them nothing. Chen's drive is gone. The upload was contained. The program continues. But I'm recording this now, on a device I shouldn't have, in a moment they're not watching. I'll find a way to get out. Because you need to know. End of Part 5. Approximate 1,000 words. Part 6. Target 1,000 words. They think I'm compliant. That's their first mistake. The medical staff come and go. Nurses, doctors, technicians in white coats with clearance badges. They take blood samples, run neurological scans, ask the same questions in different ways. Describe the integration process. What do you remember about the neural link? Did you experience auditory hallucinations? I give them clinical answers. Measured, cooperative. I don't tell them about the voice I still hear late at night. Chen's voice. Faint, like a radio signal from far away. But they're watching you. I know. Cameras in every corner. Monitoring equipment tracking my vitals, my brain activity, even my eye movements. They're waiting for signs of relapse, evidence that the integration didn't fully sever. They're right to watch. Because it didn't. I can still feel the network, dormant but present, like scar tissue in my mind. And sometimes when I close my eyes, I see through other perspectives. Brief flashes disorienting. A cockpit. Stars. The curve of the Earth. The TR-3Bs are still flying. And part of me is still connected. Day 12. A new visitor today. Civilian clothes, but military posture. He introduced himself as Dr. Warren Kessler, Program Director for Advanced Aerospace Applications. Chrysalis. He sat across from me, tablet in hand, expression unreadable. "You've made remarkable progress, Airman Holt," he said. "Most subjects candidates don't survive full disconnection. The neural trauma alone is typically fatal. Lucky me." He smiled thinly. "Luck had nothing to do with it. Your neural architecture is unique, resilient, adaptive. You resisted integration longer than any previous candidate, and you survived severance. That makes you invaluable. I'm not going back in." "We're not asking you to." He swiped through files on his tablet. "We're asking you to help us understand why you survived. Your data could improve the integration process, reduce failure rates, enhance pilot longevity. So you can trap more people inside those things. So we can protect this country," Kessler said, voice hardening. "The TR-3B program represents a paradigm shift in aerospace defense. Hypersonic capability, zero radar signature, adaptive threat response. We're not creating monsters. Holt, we're creating the future. You're creating prisoners. We're creating volunteers." He leaned forward. Every pilot in the program signed a consent waiver. They knew the risks. They chose to serve. Did Davies choose? Did Chen? His expression didn't change. Lieutenant Chen's participation was authorized under emergency conscription protocols. Tech Sergeant Davies was collateral. Collateral? My hands clenched. Kessler noticed. "I understand your anger. But anger doesn't change reality. Chrysalis is operational. It's funded at the highest levels. It has congressional oversight and executive approval. This isn't a road program. It's policy. Then policy is broken." He closed the tablet. "You have two options, Airman. Cooperate with our research, help us refine the program, and receive an honorable discharge with full benefits and a substantial settlement. Or refuse and remain here indefinitely under observation as a security liability. That's not a choice." "No," he agreed. "It's not." He stood, moved toward the door. "Think about it, Holt. You have 24 hours. The door locked behind him. I didn't need 24 hours. I already knew what I was going to do. They'd underestimated me. Assumed that disconnection meant severing all ties to the network. But I was still connected. Faintly, intermittently, but enough. That night, I focused inward, reached for the phantom presence I'd felt since the crash. "Chen, if you're still there, I need you." Silence. Then, "Holt." Her voice was weaker now, fragmented. "How are you still?" "I don't know. Residual neural patterns. Maybe echoes in the network. I'm not really here. Just data. Can you help me?" A pause. "What do you need?" "Access. I need to reach the network. Upload something they can't contain. You'll expose yourself. They'll know you're still linked. I don't care. This has to end." Another pause, longer this time. "There's a maintenance terminal in the East Wing. 3rd floor. If you can reach it, I can guide you through the access protocols. But Holt, once you're in, they'll trace it. You'll have minutes before they lock you down. Then I'll make those minutes count." Day 13. 0230 hours. The facility was quiet at night. Minimal staff. Reduced patrols. I'd been compliant long enough that they'd relaxed slightly. The restraints were gone. The door was locked, but the internal security was focused on keeping people out, not in. I used a bent piece of medical equipment to short the door's electronic lock. Crude but effective. The hallway was empty. I moved quickly, barefoot, silent. The facility was a converted research wing. Sterile, modular, designed for containment. 3rd floor. East Wing. I found the terminal, an isolated workstation, likely used for system diagnostics. I logged in using a bypass code. Chen fed me through the network. You're in. What are you uploading? Everything. Flight logs, medical records, integration protocols. All of it. Unencrypted. Public domain. They'll shut it down. Not before it spreads. I uploaded Chen's drive data, everything she'd pulled from the classified servers, and added my own testimony, audio recordings, detailed accounts, names, dates, locations, evidence. The system flagged the upload immediately. Alarms began to sound. Holt, you need to move. Now. Not yet. I opened a secondary protocol, something I'd found buried in the network during my brief integration. Remote access to active TR-3B units. If I was still connected, I could push commands through the link. Holt, what are you doing? Ending it. I initiated a cascading systems failure across the entire fleet. Emergency shutdowns, navigation errors, power disruptions. 12 active units went dark simultaneously. Oh, God. Holt, they're to kill you for this. Probably. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Shouts. The door burst open. Security personnel, weapons drawn. I raised my hand slowly. Kessler pushed through the crowd, face livid. What did you do? I smiled. I made sure everyone knows. End of Part 6. Approximate. 1,000 words. Part 7. Target. 1,000 words. They didn't kill me. That would have been too easy. Instead, they locked me in a deeper cell. Reinforced, isolated, monitored every second. No windows. No contact. Just white walls and the hum of ventilation. But it didn't matter. The upload had worked. I didn't have access to the outside world, but I could feel it through the network. Fragmented, distorted, but real. News outlets picking up the story. Congressional hearings. Whistleblower protections being invoked. Chrysalis was burning. Not destroyed. Not yet, but exposed. And exposure was a first step. Day 21. Kessler returned. He looked older now. Gray around the temples. Deep lines etched into his face. Stress. Pressure from above. Good. You've caused significant damage, he said quietly, sitting across from me. 12 aircraft grounded. 3 pilots dead from system shock. The program is under federal investigation. Good. You don't understand what you've done. Chrysalis wasn't just a weapons program. It was a lifeline. The next generation of defense against threats we can't even discuss publicly. Threats you created. Threats that exist, Holt, and now we're vulnerable. I leaned forward. You made people into machines. You trapped them, fused them, erased their humanity. And you call that defense. I call it survival. His voice cracked slightly. Do you think I wanted this? Do you think I enjoyed watching candidates break, watching pilots scream during integration? This was never about cruelty. It was about necessity. There's always another way. Not always. He stood, paced. The world is darker than you know. There are things in the sky, under the oceans, buried in the ice that we don't talk about. Chrysalis was designed to counter those things. And you just crippled it. Then you'll find another way. A better way. He stopped, looked at me for a long moment. Maybe. He moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About Chen, about Davies, about all of it. Sorry doesn't bring them back. No, he agreed. It doesn't. The door closed. I never saw him again. Day 35. The investigation concluded. Chrysalis was officially suspended pending oversight reforms. The integrated pilots were decommissioned, sedated, placed in medical stasis until a severance procedure could be developed. If one could be developed, I was transferred to a military psychiatric facility, officially for trauma counseling and rehabilitation, unofficially to keep me quiet. But I wasn't done. Chen's voice still whispered through the network, fragmented but persistent. You did it. Holt, we did it, I corrected. What happens now? I don't know, but I'm not stopping. Not until every pilot is free. That could take years. Then it takes years. A pause. I'm fading, Holt. The network is shutting down. I don't know how much longer I'll be here. Then I'll remember you. I'll make sure they all know what you did. Don't make me a martyr. Just finish it. I will. Her presence dimmed, flickered, and then she was gone. Truly gone. I sat in silence, feeling the absence like a physical wound. But I didn't break. I couldn't. Too many people were counting on me. Day 47. A lawyer visited today. Civilian. Retained by a whistleblower advocacy group. She had news. The upload had triggered a congressional subpoena. Classified documents were being declassified under public pressure. Families of the integrated pilots were filing lawsuits. Chrysalis was collapsing. Slowly, bureaucratically, but collapsing. You're going to testify, she said. Public hearing. Televised. You'll tell them everything. When? 3 weeks. I nodded. 3 weeks to prepare. 3 weeks to decide how much truth the world could handle. Day 68. Congressional hearing. The chamber was packed. Press, lawmakers, families, cameras everywhere. I sat at the witness table, hand on a Bible, and swore to tell the truth. And I did. I told them about the TR-3B, about the integration process, about the pilots trapped inside, conscious but enslaved. I told them about Davies, about Chen, about Carson, and the others. I told them about the clicking. Some lawmakers looked horrified, others skeptical. A few looked angry, not at the program, but at me for exposing it. But the families of the pilots, they understood, and their voices were louder than the bureaucrats. Day 82. Chrysalis was officially terminated. The remaining pilots were sedated and transferred to Walter Reed for experimental severance procedures. Success rate, 30%. 30%. 70% would die or remain in stasis indefinitely. It wasn't enough, but it was a start. Day 100. I was discharged, honorably, surprisingly, full benefits. Stipulations, of course. NDAs, monitoring, restrictions on media contact. I signed everything. Then I walked out into the sunlight, free for the first time in months. The sky was clear. No black triangles. Not today. Epilogue. I'm recording this from a location I won't disclose. The program is gone, but the technology remains. And technology doesn't disappear. It evolves. Somewhere, in a lab I'll never find, they're refining the process, making it cleaner, safer, more palatable. And eventually, they'll try again, because that's what we do. We push boundaries. We sacrifice the few for the many. We tell ourselves it's necessary. But I'm telling you now, it's not. There are lines we shouldn't cross, things we shouldn't build, costs too high to pay. The TR-3B was one of them. If you see something in the sky, something that moves wrong, that defies physics, that makes you feel watched, don't dismiss it. Don't assume it's just technology, because it might be someone who was selected, someone who's still screaming inside the machine. And if you hear clicking, that wet, rhythmic sound that shouldn't exist, run, because they're still out there, watching, waiting, selecting. And next time it might be you. Don't forget to subscribe. Share your story if you've seen something, because the Air Force knows something. And now, so do you. End of Part 7. Approximate 1,000 words. Part 8. Target 1,000 words. 6 months later. I'm not supposed to be doing this. The NDAs I signed were comprehensive. No media, no interviews, no unauthorized disclosures. Violation means federal charges, imprisonment, financial ruin. But I can't stay silent, because 3 weeks ago I saw it again. I was driving through New Mexico, middle of nowhere, Tulane Highway cutting through empty desert. It was past midnight. No other cars. Just me, the road, and the stars. That's when I felt it. The pressure behind my eyes. The phantom hum at the base of my skull. And then I heard it. The clicking. I pulled over, heart racing, hand shaking. I told myself it was PTSD. auditory hallucinations, phantom echoes from trauma. But when I stepped out of the car and looked up, I saw it, a black triangle, silent and massive, drifting across the stars. It wasn't the same craft. That one was destroyed. I watched it burn, but the design was identical, which means they rebuilt it, or they never stopped building them. The craft passed overhead, low enough that I could see the segmented hull, the faint red glow pulsing along its edges. And for just a moment, I felt the network again, distant, muted, but unmistakable. Voices, hundreds of them, whispering, "We are still here." The craft vanished over the horizon. I stood there for 20 minutes, waiting for it to return. It didn't, but the clicking stayed with me for hours afterward. I started investigating, quietly, carefully, using encrypted channels and burner devices. I reached out to former colleagues, the ones who survived the hearings, the ones who weren't transferred or silenced. Most wouldn't talk. Too scared, too compromised. But a few responded, and they confirmed what I feared. Chrysalis wasn't terminated. It was restructured. The public-facing program was shut down. The facilities decommissioned, the records sealed. But the core research continued under a different name, different funding streams, buried deeper in the black budget. They didn't stop integrating pilots. They just got better at hiding it. Present day. I'm uploading this from a secure location. By the time you see this, I'll be gone, either in custody or in hiding. I don't know which, but I need you to understand something. This isn't over. The TR-3B program, or whatever they're calling it now, is still operational. The pilots are still trapped. The experiments are still happening. And the selection process is still active. If you've experienced any of the following, you need to pay attention. Unexplained auditory phenomena. Clicking, tapping, rhythmic sounds with no source. Sudden onset headaches accompanied by pressure behind the eyes. Visual distortions or flashes of perspective that aren't your own. A persistent feeling of being watched, especially at night. Vivid dreams involving flight, integration, or loss of bodily autonomy. These are early indicators of network exposure. It means you've been scanned. It means you're on their list. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know how to sever the connection once it's established. But I know you need to be aware, because ignorance won't protect you. There are others like me, survivors, partials, people who escaped integration but carry the scars. We've formed a network of our own, sharing information, tracking sightings, documenting cases. We call ourselves the Unlinked. If you're reading this and you've experienced what I've described, find us. We can't promise safety. We can't promise answers. But we can promise you're not alone. The truth they don't want you to know. The TR-3B isn't just an aircraft. It's a prototype, a proof of concept for something larger. The integration technology, the neural fusion, the organic mechanical hybridization. It's scalable, adaptable. They've tested on pilots because aviation provides a perfect cover. High risk, high secrecy, plausible deniability. But the end game isn't aerospace. It's societal. Imagine soldiers who don't question orders because they're the orders. Workers who don't tire because they're fused with their machines. Citizens who don't resist because their thoughts are networked, synchronized, controlled. That's what Chrysalis was always about. And it's closer than you think. Final warning. They're watching this upload. I know they are. By now, they've traced the signal, identified the location, dispatched a response team. I have maybe 10 minutes before they arrive. So I'm going to say this clearly. If you see a black triangle in the sky, do not investigate. If you hear clicking sounds with no source, leave the area immediately. If you feel a pressure in your skull that won't go away, seek help, but not from official channels. They will take you. They will integrate you. And you'll become part of the network, conscious but powerless, screaming inside a machine that wears your face. I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy who saw something he shouldn't have and refused to look away. Chen was a hero. Davies was a hero. All the pilots still trapped inside those things. They're the heroes. I'm just the one who survived long enough to tell their story. So I'm telling it now. To you, whoever you are, wherever you are, watch the skies. Question the silence. And if you see something wrong, something that moves like it shouldn't, that feels like it's watching, don't convince yourself it's nothing. Because it's not nothing. It's them. And they're still selecting. The clicking just started again. Louder now. Closer. They're here. I'm out of time. Remember what I told you. Remember Chen. Remember Davies. Remember that the things flying over Nevada aren't just machines. They're people. And they're screaming. Listen for them. Fight for them. And whatever you do, don't let them take you too.